Hello, John. Thanks,
Hey, Ted.
everyone, for joining us here on DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. I'm editorial cartoonist Ted Rall. That's CIA whistleblower John Kiriakou. As we start today's program, we have to bring you some sad and tragic news. Conservative influencer Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, has been assassinated, shot in the throat at Utah Valley University this afternoon during an event where he was speaking in public before a crowd of hundreds of people. We'll get into exactly what happened there. And of course, obviously, what this act of startling political violence means in the days and weeks ahead. Kamala Harris's excerpts from her books are her book 107 Days, starting to come out. France is, as we talked about yesterday, the riots, the Block Everything protests and riots are in full swing there. It's late at night in France, but we'll bring you up to date on the crisis in the French government. Canada's rethinking its relationship with Israel. Qatar is still, of course, reeling from Israel's attack. And there's a new type of cryptography, quantum physics based. We'll get into that. I can think of no one I'd rather talk to about that than you, John. But I think we have to talk about Charlie Kirk first.
Yeah, we do.
Charlie Kirk, I have to admit, I was familiar with him when he co-founded Turning Point USA, which is a conservative action committee, political action committee that raises money for Republican and conservative candidates, very closely aligned to Trump world these days. It started in about 2012 and sort of like came out of the Tea Party movement. And it's focused particularly on recruiting young Republicans and young conservatives. Charlie Kirk is also a massive podcaster and influencer.
Huge.
And he, he's married, has kids. He was speaking at this event in Utah Valley University on apparently what looked like a beautiful day under a tent, and suddenly there was a shot. Blood. He immediately sort of pivoted backwards. Blood started splurting out of his throat.
Very horrific. graphic video.
Yeah, I don't
Awful.
recommend that you watch it. And anyway, and that was it. And honestly, it took about an hour or two before the mainstream media organization started to report him dead. But to be honest, John, when I saw that, I immediately assumed he was dead. I don't see how anyone could have survived such an injury.
Agreed.
The death must have been very quick.
It had to be. And, you and I, of course, talked several times after the story started to break. And we were in agreement from the very beginning that there's no way a person could survive a wound like that. And I wondered if we were getting these reports from someone at the hospital and someone in law enforcement to the Associated Press saying that he was alive and he was fighting and they were giving him blood transfusions or infusions. I wondered if they were doing that just to try to keep his heart beating long enough to get his family there. But even that.
Could well be. I'm being told that we're down on Rumble. Let me just make sure, see if that's true or not. Sorry, on YouTube. I see Rumble up, but why don't you go ahead and I will see if I can troubleshoot this.
Yeah, you know what? Anytime something like this happens, Ted, I end up being very, very disappointed in a lot of friends of mine. Right? And I tested it this afternoon. I went on Facebook and all I wrote was, this was it. I just wrote, Utah has the death penalty. And it has brought out some of the most hideous comments. I have to block people. How you can celebrate the death of another human being solely because you dislike his politics.
Hear.
And then
couldn't agree more.
And people are saying, oh, he advocated the Second Amendment and you live by the gun and you die by the gun, and he advocated deportations, and that's a form of terrorism. It's like, shut the fuck up.
It is fucking stupid.
About a young man, a young father that took a bullet to the neck only because somebody didn't like his politics, and you're trying to justify that?
Yeah, and the problem is, John, if that happens to you or I when we speak in public, there's going to be right wingers who say things like that about us. And if you approve of this Charlie Kirk thing, then you're validating that same thing happening to someone like you or me who you actually like. I mean,
yes,
Charlie Kirk and John Kiriakou and Ted Rall all make their living in the world of public opinion, expressing our opinions, our politics, our thoughts.
Within minutes, my son called me and said, "Oh my God, I'm so worried about you now."
Right.
You're right. We're out there expressing opinions. There are people who don't like us. Not as many, I guess, as Charlie Kirk, but still, I mean, anybody with an opinion on anything now is a target. And in the minds of a lot of sick Americans, they're legitimate targets because of their political positions on issues.
And I'm sorry, like, okay, if we were having this conversation about, someone who is participating, let's say, in a Middle Eastern genocide, I might have a different opinion. But that's not the case here. I mean, Charlie Kirk expressed a lot of views, before the show. You said like 70, you probably disagree with him on 75% of stuff. I'd go 90 on me, but who cares? I mean,
who cares?
I mean, that's not, I defend his right to say whatever he wants, whenever he wants, however he wants, anytime. And so, I mean, you have to assume, unless, sometimes these things have a weird personal angle that nobody knows, but you have to assume this is an act of political violence.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to. You have to make that assumption. And, another thing that's just awful is there was a video, of course, that I'm sure everybody has seen by now of some old man being wrestled to the ground and cuffed. And everybody's saying, oh, it's this old man. He's a left-wing extremist. No, he was just an old man standing in the crowd. It was the wrong guy. They've already released him. We don't have any idea who the shooter was. No idea.
No. And we don't know what their motivation is. I mean, just think about how many times in the past people thought they had everything figured out the second something happened. Oklahoma City, it's like everyone assumed it was Islamist terrorism. It was quite the opposite. It was a guy couldn't have been any whiter, Timothy McVeigh, military veteran. You just never know. And, remember there was the shooting at the congressional softball game.
Absolutely.
Turned out to be a Bernie Sanders supporter who was guilty of that. The person who shot Gabby Gifford, a Democrat. You assumed that because she was a Democratic congressman that, a Republican would have killed her. Things aren't binary. Things aren't that obvious. No. We still don't really know the shooter who shot Trump in the ear. We don't really know what he was all about politically.
No, we don't.
Or even if politics had much to do with it at all.
And in this case, I mean, we could, I'm so angry right now. I'm having trouble talking. There could be revelations in this case that make everything that we're saying incorrect. This could be maybe a nut who has, schizophrenia or what. Totally. We don't know. We don't know what the deal is. We don't know if this was politically motivated. We're making an assumption here. This guy. We
should talk about what we do know, but go ahead.
Yeah. Just like this guy who killed the Ukrainian refugee in what was it, New York, I guess, the other day. Everybody said, "Oh, it's a hate crime, and he hated refugees or he hated Ukrainians." No. He almost killed his sister 2 years ago because he's a paranoid schizophrenic, doesn't have health insurance, and is nuts and violent.
And that's it.
He said the government put a chip in his head, and the voice in the chip told him to stab this woman. So same thing with this Charlie Kirk situation. So far, we know very little. Go right ahead, Ted. Tell us what we do know.
So what we do know is that the shot came from roughly 200 feet away. 200 yards
meters,
away. Yeah. So that indicates a long gun. It indicates a sniper.
Charlotte.
It indicates someone who has facility with weapons. Indicates someone who had a hiding spot, probably, because a long gun isn't exactly the most subtle of things. I would probably be. I'd be shocked if it turns out it's not the standard AR-15, but you never know. I mean, the size of the wound. I mean, you have a lot of pressure in that artery here, and so it blurts out. And but the thing is, I mean, even if there had been I don't think he really stood a chance.
Rick Sanchez sent me the video before I heard anything. He just said, "Holy shit, look at this." And I looked at it and I was like, "Oh, come on." And I said, "Rick, this has to be AI, right?" And he said, "No, Charlie Kirk just got shot." And I thought, there's no possible way somebody can survive a shot like that.
No.
It was so graphic. I mean, listen, you've seen some of the pictures I have on my phone from my days in Pakistan. Yeah. I'm not easily shaken, but that video was gruesome.
Right. I would say also, having seen, war up close and personal in Afghanistan, I would agree. It was it was brutal. Yeah. I don't want to use the word lucky shot, but I mean, I have to say, if the shot had been, just an inch in a different direction, he'd probably be alive. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the good news is there had to have probably been EMS nearby, standing by, just given the size of the crowd, when you have that many people. This happened it sounds like the campus. Oh, the other thing we know is that it was campus police that took custody of that older gentleman who they then cleared. So this person's on the lam. We know that too. Yeah,
that's right. He's on the lam.
We're assuming it's a man, but it usually is.
Yeah. Crazy.
So let's go ahead and bring in producer Robbie West, because politically he kind of comes from more this school of thought. So I think he has some insights here. Robbie, you had thoughts.
Well, it's just wild. I mean, before today, the right was broken. It was fractured. I mean, there was a civil war in Trump's base. Yeah, I mean, you had the America First people, from which I belong, versus the Trumpian MAGA sycophant, the Trump cultists. Whoever did this, congratulations, you have united the right in a way that no one else could have. Mm-hmm. And people in my political persuasion are pissed off, and all bets are off now. This is what I was most afraid of. I've told y'all both this numerous times, and it's even money. What happens now? A lot of the
that's the question. That's the question. What the heck happens now?
Is this different from? I mean, look. John and I are both over 60 years old. We remember a lot of political assassinations in our lifetimes, and I don't think we have to go back to the classic ones like 1968. I mean, there was the guy from the radical. What was his name? The radical Zionist who was gunned down near Grand Central Station.
It was Meir Kahane.
No. Bizarre political assassination. I mean, there's been tons of them.
Yeah.
And they happen all the time. And, we're an ADD nation. We kind of don't remember anything for any length of time. I mean, Robbie, I know it's right now. It just happened minutes ago. But, I mean, I got to be a cynic here. I mean, in a week, we'll probably be talking about something else.
You probably will be, but I guarantee you people on the right will not be.
That's a good point.
And so here's the difference, right? One, because of the age of social media, I mean, this thing went out in real time. It's all over X right now. It's all over Telegram. It's all over Russian media. It is all over the place. Like I just now shared with y'all on the chat backstage, someone already did a forensic analysis about where the sniper nest was.
Really? What did they find?
Yeah. Well, it's a Russian. He's like a Russian veteran. So if I was going to do this, here's exactly where I would go, because Google Maps is a thing,
right?
I mean, you can have analysis like this happen in real time. And here's the thing: Charlie Kirk, love him or hate him, and I disagree with Charlie Kirk probably on about 20%. Whereas, because I'm a creature of the right, y'all aren't. Mm-hmm. I'm also younger than y'all. So, I mean, this is where we kind of come from. This man was murdered on a live stream all over the world
Mm-hmm. That is different.
because someone disagreed with what he said. I mean, the fact that you can say that there are two genders and someone will get killed for it, and then people on the other side of the aisle will cheer for it like this is some kind of a football game. That's the difference. There's no civility anymore.
Well, look, when you were talking, I literally was about to, my instinct was to think about some things I've read that the victim here has said. Keyword, right. He's the victim.
Right.
And well, he said this other thing that, kind of could provoke violence. And then I shut myself up, and I'm not going to say it because there's no place for that right now. I mean, the point is he didn't do or say anything that could possibly deserve this. And so what? I don't like his opinions. So what?
No, and the thing is, of the three people who are here on this panel right now, I'm the one that is the most closely aligned to Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I mean, let's be honest here. I'm probably going to piss off like a quarter of the people who are watching.
It's all right.
I agree with Charlie Kirk. There are two genders. Guys cannot be women. Women cannot be guys. It's a fact. Sorry. If you have a problem with it, take it up with God. I mean, he didn't make a mistake. The problem is you. There's two genders and an unlimited number of mental illnesses. If that means that you can kill me because I say something you don't like, then that means people on my persuasion can then start going the other way and start saying, well, if abortion's murder, and if you advocate the killing of children, then I can work as an avenger to take you out. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. That's the genie that's been let out of the bottle here, and I don't know how you get it back in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't either. One of the commenters, 18 Spoons, is comparing this to the John Lennon assassination. And there is something similar to it, even though, of course, the Lennon assassination was just a crazy man, Mark David Chapman. He thought he's somehow going to be sleeping with Jodie Foster as a result of all this.
No. That was...
that's Mark David Chapman. That's
that was the Reagan shooter.
John Hinckley.
John Hinckley. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know what Mark David Chapman had in mind, but he liked John Lennon and somehow
got his autograph earlier in the day.
Nut. He's just a nut.
Yeah, he's just a nut.
So the point is that but I kind of see psychologically, I can sort of see in the form of political psychology how it kind of plays the same way to the public. Happens in the middle, in broad daylight. There's lots of it's shocking. Both victims were relatively young in John Lennon's case, mm-hmm. and full of life, and you would have expected a lot more out of them in the future. It seems completely pointless and senseless. And so, I see the comparison.
I agree.
But now here's another level to this. I want y'all to think about this. The people who are watching right now to think about this. Since 2016, we have been being told that Trump is a Nazi. People who support Trump's are Nazis or your white supremacists. But my question is what do you do with a Nazi? It's a fair question.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem with overheated rhetoric, right? Like,
very much so.
Sort of. I mean, a lot of it makes sense, right? Like, I mean, so for example, it's just abortion. If you think that if abortion is killing an unborn child, which actually I do think it is.
Well, it is. By definition, it is.
And then so obviously killing babies is wrong. Stands to reason that you can and should do anything you can to stop that. And that can lead you to extreme violence. I mean, the only difference between my grandfather, the resistance hero, and the person who kills the abortion doctor is time and history, right? Just a different context. So, I mean, that's the problem with the overheated rhetoric that we're hearing. And I'm going to say it is from both sides. The left and the right, the liberals and the conservatives, more the liberals and the conservatives than the left and the right, are dehumanizing each other and failing to see each other as fellow Americans who disagree about what we should do to make our country great and better and make life better for Americans, and basically saying this other person is evil. And we do hear it. I mean, obviously, I pay more attention to it coming from the right to the toward the left, just because I'm on the left. But I do hear it going the other way too, just as much. Like, fuck those people. I don't, and we're hearing it now with Charlie Kirk. It's God, I don't even know. I have an answer for everything. I don't know how we get out of this.
I don't see how we do.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, and I hate to say it. I mean, yesterday, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday it was yesterday when I was on with Scott Stannis. We were talking about, is the American experiment dead? In my opinion, yeah, it is. I think it's been dead for a while now. We're just kind of just feasting on the corpse. Because what we have going on right here doesn't really happen a whole lot anymore. I'm a creature of the right. Y'all are both lefties. Y'all are both my friends. We agree to disagree. Actually, Ted, you've been to my house. You met my wife. You met my kids.
I love you
John,
guys.
No, John, you have an open invitation.
Thank you.
That doesn't happen anymore.
No, that doesn't happen anymore.
Now it's.
I think it happens more from the left to the right than among liberals and conservatives. I mean, the real interesting war that's happening here in this country is really between these two worthless bourgeois political parties, the Democrats and the Republicans. It's fucking insane. It's literally a civil war between the fucking corporate centrists. What the fuck is wrong with them?
It is. But they want us to believe that it's a fight, a real honest to God fight. It's amazing to me, like just since this shooting this afternoon, you're hearing accusations about the radical left and the far right. Well, there is no real radical left.
Unfortunately.
And the far right's actually not very far right. They're both right of center to different degrees. But it's like the media want us to believe that we should be at each other's throats because our ideas of how to live our lives and run our government are so diametrically opposed to one another. And they're not. Robbie, same situation with a ton of friends of mine. I've got a great friend, Tyler Nixon. Tyler's an awesome guy. He's an attorney. He grew up next door to the Bidens. He's a Republican, quite a conservative Republican. But he was friends with the Bidens, and he's my friend. And I've stayed at his house. He's stayed at my house. We enjoy each other's company. We agree on almost nothing.
Yeah.
Except like he's kind of libertarian and I've got a libertarian streak myself. So we can agree on a couple of like civil liberties things. But I don't care if he's to the right of me. I don't care if his beliefs or his belief system even is different from mine. I like the guy. He's fun to hang around with. Listen, I had 4 friends from high school. It was a group of the 5 of us. And we're all best friends. One of them has died, but so it's the 4 of us left. But we're all in each other's weddings. We're all godfathers to each other's kids. 2 of us were Democrats, 2 of us were Republicans, and 1 was an independent growing up. Because politics never mattered. We remain friends all of our lives now. One of the guys, I've been friends with him since I was 5, and we were on the YMCA tadpole swim team together.
But you know why, right? It's a honest question. You know why that you're able to be friends, right? It's because you're Americans.
I just love those guys.
I mean, that was the thing. Y'all were Americans.
Yeah.
I mean,
I will say I tend to also politically. Sorry to interrupt, Robbie. It's a bad habit I have, as some of the commenters pointed out yesterday. But like one of the things I think is also true is I have a lot more respect for someone who has strong opinions that I disagree with than someone who has weak or unsourced opinions that are just sort of mushy and unsourced. And so I can get along better with like a Tyler Nixon or a Robbie West than I can with someone who kind of doesn't really know what the fuck they're talking about and just votes for Kamala Harris just because, they don't like the orange monster.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the problem. I challenge y'all, both of you. Go to your local high school and ask 50 students, what does it mean to be an American?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Yeah.
Nobody can answer that question anymore. No one knows.
You'll get 50 different answers and probably 49 of them will be dumb.
Yeah. And that's the problem.
What we're at here? This is like, you guys know this story. I know you do because you're both students of history, avid students of history. One of the things I love about you guys, Constantinople, right? Like the elites got obsessed with chariot racing. Yes. Interestingly, right, there were 2 teams, the Reds and the Blues. Yep. And it started out as just like everyone was a fan. And then things got more and more heated over time. And these were bored people. The money was flowing in from trade from the Bosphorus. So they had nothing better to do than get obsessed with this shit. They're betting ferociously. And over time, they became political parties, the Reds versus the Blues. And people would not even let like their daughters marry a son from like the other team's family. So it's like, oh, we're a red family. You can't marry a blue. It was like Romeo and Juliet. And like, it sounds, when you read about it, fucking insane.
May
That's
I
where
add
we are
something,
right
Ted?
now.
I'll add something. When I was living in Greece, serving at the American Embassy, it was our first year there. At the time, my first wife and I had 2 sons, and they were little. They were like, let me think, 6 and 3. So the first day of Lent is a major holiday. And what the Greeks do is kids fly kites that day. It's spring, so is it spring? Yeah, it's spring, so it's windy. So every day, the first day of Lent, everybody in the country goes out and flies kites. So there are kite salesmen on every street corner. So my older son, he was 6, he wanted a kite. I said, great. We go to the kite salesman, and he picks out a yellow one, only because it was yellow, not knowing that yellow is the color of the Olympiacos, the Olympians soccer team. Well, we had dinner that afternoon at a cousin's house in Western Athens. And most of the soccer fans in Athens are fans of the team Panathinaikos, which is the Pan-Athenians. Their color is green. So we're going into the house, and my cousin says, "Whoa, wait a minute. What's up with the kite?" And I said, "Oh yeah, we stopped at the corner, before we got here. He wanted a kite for the day." And he says, Why'd you get him an Olympiacos kite?" I said, "He's a little kid. He wanted it because it was yellow and he liked the color yellow." And he said, "You can't bring that kite in his house. This is a Panathinaikos house." He said, I'm serious. My kids will stomp it to a million pieces. You can't bring the kite in the house." What? And I had to put it in the trunk. And my son cried through the whole dinner because he couldn't fly his kite because his cousins were going to stomp it. But it's the same issue, only on a political scale.
By the way, I was wrong, as pointed out in the feed. It's the greens and the blues, not the reds and the blues.
The greens and the blues.
Yeah. My apologies.
Well, it was the Nika riots, and that's when Theodora, when she famously said it, "Purple is the most noble of shrouds." That's Justinian was thinking about leaving the capital. So just a little aside there. Yeah, I'm a history nerd. But no, I mean, this is crazy. I mean, Charlie Kirk, and I did not agree with Charlie Kirk. He was a Zionist. I'm not. I mean, he was all about he's all about that false teaching from that evangelicals teach that you have to bless the Jews or God is going to curse you. Bible doesn't say that. I disagree with him on that, but I agree with him on other things. The fact that this dude would go to colleges and to universities and have these conversations with students and faculty
to engage with them, with people who didn't like him. No,
that's a courageous thing.
I like that. It shouldn't be courageous. I guess it is courageous if you can be shot. Rob, I'm going to take you out of the feed because we have to keep moving here. But
yeah, sorry, we ate up half the time. Yeah,
but
you're right.
We could do this for hours. So he'll be back. John, let's talk about the political implications. According to someone in the feed, and I believe this 100%, Donald Trump has already ordered American flags across the nation to be flown at half staff in the morning.
Which is a little nutty, but okay.
It's a little extreme. Yeah. Trump's not the right person to bring us together at a time like this.
Absolutely not.
He's going to use this to make political hay and to own the libs. I mean, that's just not what we need.
No, we need leadership. We need, Bill Clinton, for all his faults, actually brought the country together after the Oklahoma City bombing, right? There was this brief, albeit brief, period of unity, right? We're not going to get that from Donald Trump. And
even though it was retarded, kind of,
yeah,
Obama's beer summit was an attempt to bring us together. We have an ad according to Robbie. So Robbie, please put the ad up and I'll read it. We should go ahead and plug Rumble. Please watch us on Rumble. We make a lot more money, about 10 times more money per viewer than if you watch us on YouTube. So it's the same view, but it's very different for us. It makes the difference between making this a hobby and making this something that we can really just keep doing and make a modest living doing. So please do watch us on Rumble. Like, follow, and share the show. Thanks always for watching DeProgram. Okay. Anyway, so we're not. Oh, here's the ad. Here we go.
Oh, good.
If you haven't already, please make sure you download the Rumble app. It's free, simple to use, and the best way to stay connected to the content you want. Once you've got it, search for my channel and hit follow. That way you'll get a notification every time we go live. No missed shows, no extra steps. You can grab it right now using the link in the description or the pinned live chat. Download it to your phone and you're ready to go. And if you prefer watching on the big screen, Rumble is available on all major streaming devices and smart TVs. Just search for Rumble, follow the channel, and be part of the action. And just a reminder, you can pay $5 a month as a Rumble Premium member, and you'll have access to Rumble Premium content, including John's 5-part, will be 5-part as of tomorrow, 5-part, 5-hour interview where I'm interviewing him about his life. We've already done one with Robbie. We'll get around to me soon, probably next week. And so anyway, thanks for all that. I don't know. I mean, is there anything breaking about this that we have to talk about?
I'm looking at the New York Times right now, and the answer is no. They don't have any idea who the shooter is. They say it's an active investigation. Flags are going to be at half staff, which is, like I said, it's nutty, until Sunday at 6:00. I don't even know how they came up with that. But the university...
So it's not like the 30 days after the death of the president or something.
Or Hulk Hogan. Which also I didn't understand.
He's so weird. James, thank you so much, Jones Jameson, for the $20 donation. Question for you, John. You. To what extent is the DNI read in on the more insidious and compartmentalized programs within the CIA? Do you believe the creation of the DNI position was positive?
That is an awesome question. In the beginning, I did believe in the DNI position creation, only because I was so angry at George Tenet for ending up being such a terrible DCI, which is no longer a position, that I thought, well, okay, we're going to have some adult supervision in the room. And that's really not the way things turned out. The DNI, the job of the DNI is to handle the intelligence community budget. That's really what it comes down to. When the office of the ODNI was established, it had 14 employees. Now it has something like 6,000 or 8,000 employees. They've taken over the president's daily brief. They've taken over Russia operations, China operations, Iran operations. They call them now Russia House, China House, Persia House. Stupid. Anyway, that's a different issue. So for a long time then I was down on the DNI. And now, I like the fact that Tulsi Gabbard is an outsider. I like the fact that she gives the agency shit and isn't afraid to fire people. I think some of these firings have been wrong. You shouldn't fire people for their well-considered analysis that you happen to disagree with. But you should suspend their security clearances if they have no legitimate reason to have a security clearance and just go on MSNBC and yell about you all the time. Okay, number one. Number two, and this is really the important part of the question. The DNI is not read into every compartment. No, because look at it this way. When I was the executive assistant to the deputy director, we got a cable in a very sensitive compartment just as I was leaving to do my morning briefing. And it's the deputy director, all of the associate deputy directors, and the head of counterintelligence, proliferation, counterterrorism, and the chief of staff. And so I said, well, we have a very important, I started off, we have a very important cable in today saying, and the deputy director says, wait a minute. You and I are the only people in the room cleared for that information. And I thought, what? They're all associate deputy directors of the CIA. And they're not cleared for the information. So the deputy director reached out and I handed him the cable. So after that was done and all the associate deputy directors had walked out, he said to me, don't brief this to the director. I'll brief it to him after, because nobody else in the director's briefing is cleared for the information. So if the director of national intelligence has as a primary job to manage the budget for the intelligence community, he or she is likely not going to be read into these, as you said, more insidious compartments. They'll be cut out.
John, yesterday we talked about Israel's attack on Qatar. Today, we're hearing from Reuters that Canada is reconsidering whether or not they want to do trade with Israel. They say that the foreign minister there, what is her name? Anita Anand, said that Canada may follow the lead of the European Commission, which said that it may stop all trade-related measures between the EU and Israel. So Canada might join that in. They said in Canada's view, the attack on Qatar was unacceptable.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody finally said it, besides you and me. But I mean, listen, I don't care how you look at it. The only conclusion that a rational, normal person can come to is that this was an act of war against a non-belligerent. So Qatar
and neutral territory, right?
Neutral territory.
Didn't Israelis and the Americans both ask Qatar to serve as a host? And the Israelis traveled to Qatar.
Yes,
so
repeatedly.
So this could have happened to the Israelis too, right?
Yes,
theoretically.
Yes.
This is we all agree this is neutral territory. I mean, what's the point of neutral territory if one of the belligerents attacks it?
Yes.
If I were the Qataris, I'd be no more. We're done here.
And the Israelis failed in their goal. They killed
did.
5 nobodies. They didn't kill anybody from the Hamas leadership. And as Bruce Fein is fond of pointing out, they have made themselves a belligerent. And so now the Qataris, and the Qataris won't, but the Qataris are legally permitted to retaliate. They won't, like I said, but they could if they wanted to.
So you've got to take a victory lap, John. So yesterday we talked a little bit about this, and then I read this piece that I sent you from the Times today. Headline is Gulf powers question U.S. protection after Israeli attack on Qatari soil. The brazen attack to kill the political leaders of Hamas in Doha could upend the foundations of an American-led order in the Middle East. It's almost like anybody who was listening to the show yesterday totally kind of read this already, except that you said it. So Qatar being unable to protect its own citizens with literally the U.S. Central Command on its territory, just like you said, has prompted locals to question the value of the American partnership, according to Kristen Dewan, senior resident scholar at the Arab Gulf States Institute. It's a real problem for Gulf leaders, and it should worry the U.S. as well. Mm-hmm. The attack sent shockwaves through the Gulf capitals that were courted by Israel as potential allies. Hey, we could be friends, but also while we're being friends, we might just bomb you. This is a litmus test, says Badr al-Saif, assistant professor of history at Kuwait University. If Gulf rulers don't do anything forceful now, they'll only be part of an Israeli orbit of power and an Israeli-led regional order, which presumably they don't want. This story goes on, and it's all what you said yesterday, John. So congratulations. You should probably get you should probably get a reprint fee.
I'll take it. And maybe they might want to have me speak at one of the universities there for lots and lots of money. That would be nice too. No, honestly, Ted, this attack was so clearly and patently and obviously illegal that it was an easy call. I remember friends of mine, especially friends formerly of the State Department, when the Russians invaded Ukraine, they were far less upset about the Russians invading Ukraine as they were the Russians invading Ukraine through Belarus, because that made the Belarusians combatants, right? Combatants. And so if the Ukrainians wanted to or had the ability to, they could have attacked Belarus, and they could have done so legally. So the thing is that the Israelis are so arrogant. They need to be slapped down a peg or two. The U.S. is definitely not going to do it. But now at least we're seeing leadership by the Canadians of all people, by the Irish, by the Spanish. And, maybe other countries will follow them.
Well, and don't forget the French. The French showed
and the French.
The French showed some important leadership.
Oh, thank you.
Question
thank you.
from
Look out below.
Chrism TC. How is it possible for Israel to attack Qatar without U.S. military knowledge with radar? And if they did know the jets were heading over, it's true they had to cross all the way over the vast expanse of Saudi Arabia. Yeah. How did they know it was a friendly country and not Iran?
I asked that. I asked a friend of mine that at the Pentagon last night, and I got a response that I wouldn't have thought of, because this is really not my area of expertise. So let's address the Saudis first. The Saudis were either in on it, or the Saudis, number two, had their heads up their asses. Okay, you can go ahead and choose, because both scenarios work for me.
Really? How could they have had their heads up their ass? How?
They can't even defend themselves against the Houthis. How are they going to do it against the Israelis that have, stealths and all this other stuff that we gladly give them? But secondly, one of my friends, formerly of the State Department, said that he had been told that the Israelis fired the missiles from well inside Saudi territory, that they were cruise missiles, and so the Israelis had barely crossed into Saudi Arabia, launched, and then immediately turned around before the Saudis could react. And so the missiles just went in without the accompanying noise of airplanes coming to deliver them. They got on the Israelis got on the phone and said to the White House, we were attacking Qatar. It was already too late to do anything. And then by the time the White House called the Qataris, the missiles had impacted.
Yeah, the Qataris, their latest statement was that they heard from the White House 10 minutes after the attack began.
Yeah, exactly. And, like we were saying yesterday, I think we probably said it off the air, Ted, but the Israelis made us look like fools by doing this. And they made Donald Trump look like their little lapdog. And I hope somebody whispers that into his ear, because that's the only thing that's going to make him respond appropriately to the Israelis.
No, that's totally true. Also, another question. Does the distance from richest person in the world on YouTube, does the distance of 200 yards indicate the shooter was military? No. 200 yards isn't
not
crazy.
Necessarily. Just could be a good hunter or something. Yeah.
By the way, there is some footage unsourced online currently. Robbie found it on Middle East Spectator, where it seems to be video that shows possibly the shooter on the roof of, I guess, a parking deck. Jeez. Adjacent to the someone already zoomed in. They might not. You might ask if this is legit. In fact, would this have been necessarily viewed as a suspect? I would say no, because when I go to a event like that, if I see someone on the roof like that, I might assume they were police and that they were there for security.
Right. Oh, I see it. Thank you, Robbie. Oh, right. Sure. Man. Yeah, somebody is clearly on his belly on the roof of the parking garage. This is just grand. Just grand.
D's Nuts 1776 wants our thoughts on Poland invoking Article 4 of NATO.
Oh my God.
In retaliation for the Russian drone probe, I guess. I wouldn't say attack, but sort of Russian drones kind of mildly, slightly invading Polish airspace.
Yeah, they blew up a house, apparently. I saw some pictures at the Associated Press today of Polish soldiers on the top floor of a house that had just been completely blown out. Listen, this is an act of war. And if you cross into a border country's airspace, okay, you can say, all right, sorry, it was an accident. We just kind of strayed into your airspace. But they had to cross all of Ukraine to get to Poland. That was not an accident. That was a provocation. And so the Poles, invoking Article 4, okay, technically, I guess we're at war now. with Russia. NATO's at war with Russia if you're invoking Article 4. And so there's going to have to be some kind of response. The response may be that NATO starts shooting down Russian drones, or the response can even be something far worse.
These drones weren't sent accidentally, like you said.
No.
And they're even someone with a hobby drone knows how precisely they're guided by GPS.
Yeah.
So, okay, why did the Russians do this? I have my theory. My theory is that it's basically meant, first of all, to remind the West that the whole world isn't the Middle East and that the Russo-Ukrainian conflict is still happening, and they'd like a little attention to it, I think. And also, I think it's a probe. Like, let's see what the Eastern Europeans, let's see what the Poles do if we, send in some drones. Let's see how quick their response time is. Let's see how they, what kind of bang bangs they have.
Exactly. That's why you would do it. It's an intelligence collection exercise, really. If you're going to send drones and maybe you fire one rocket and it blows up some farmer's house, you're not going to accomplish anything. But you are going to be able to collect a lot of intelligence. And that may very well have been the whole point.
Let's talk about France. We should just bring people up to date on this. Over 450 people have now been arrested as the Bloquez tout or Block Everything movement. This is a leaderless movement, which is for France is a little bit unusual. So it's a little more like Occupy Wall Street, completely driven by the internet. There's been 2 trade unions that are involved, including the big CGT, the Conseil Général du Travail, which was affiliated with the old French Communist Party.
Yeah, funny.
And my grandfather was a member of the CGT, proudly so. And they used to take their orders from the Comintern. But now, but they're signed up. They're kind of like remoras to this, going along with this whole thing. John, we talked about it yesterday. I'm just going to reiterate. I think this is going to be a big fucking deal, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon.
Yeah.
The French are furious at this decision to keep shoving one right-wing centrist prime minister after another down the throats of the voters who did not want them. And the left is saying, like, look, we won the fucking election last year, which you called. We won it, and we want the prime minister's seat, and we deserve it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then meanwhile, the right, the National Rally, is saying, hey, hold an election right now, we'll win it. But who cares?
Which is probably true.
It is.
But you're right. Who cares?
But who cares? Because if they hold a new election now and the far right wins it, Macron won't let them rule either.
No.
So I think the Fifth Republic
but he
is
will
on the
give
ropes.
them. He will give them enough rope to hang themselves. Nobody should expect that the far right's going to be any more stable than the center or the left have been. And excuse me, Ted, can I go back to Article 4?
Please.
There are a couple of questions in the chat I want to address. So Article 4 is what is invoked in case of an emergency. And what it does is it calls for immediate talks by NATO defense ministers and military leaders, like Joint Chiefs leadership. It is the precursor to invoking Article 5. Article 5 is, we've been attacked, we need help immediately. The only time Article 5 has ever been invoked by any NATO country was on September 11th. That's it. It's the only time. I honestly don't even remember the last time Article 4, I could probably Google it, but Article 4 was invoked. Article 4 means that the Poles mean business. They feel under threat and they want help.
It's like, help, help. The evil Russians are coming. Scott Matheson says Scott Ritter said that the Russian drone was taken over by Ukrainian hackers and sent to Poland. I mean, that is possible. I mean, that theoretically, technologically, it can happen.
Sure. Yeah.
I wouldn't, but given the fact that the Russians did not deny that it was their drone, that they sent it on purpose,
no, I
would say that that's the most likely explanation, right?
Yeah.
How would Scott Ritter know that anyway?
You know, I've known Scott for a long time. It's my belief, my feeling that Scott tries to be especially provocative because it gets him clicks, and that's how he makes a living.
Well,
I like Scott, nice guy, but I just disagree with a whole bunch of what he says.
Update from Nepal from our friend DFC91.
Ooh,
More
yeah.
than 13,000 prisoners have escaped from prisons all over Nepal. Nepal is not that big of a country.
What?
Including violent offenders. So that country, clearly law and order has broken down.
Oh, man. DFC, same as yesterday, man. Be careful. Protect yourself.
Hang tight.
Not just from the government and the police, but now from 13,000 escaped prisoners. 13,000, that has to be like the entire prison population of Nepal, right? Oh, my God.
Chronically Offline's asking me what do the French think about Candace Owens' obsession with Macron? It's so funny to me, LOL.
Me too.
I think the French are too busy seething about how much they fucking can't stand him with his 15% approval rating, which probably is going down by the minute. Because even among the 15%, they've got to be looking at the chaos in the streets and thinking, this guy can't even maintain public order. He can't keep the country together. So I think they have other things on their mind. I think it would be hard to overestimate the seething contempt that the French have for him right now.
Yeah, and Adam offers up some good information here. Last time Article 4 was triggered was in 2022 by Poland, Bulgaria, and Estonia when the Ukraine invasion began. I forgot that, but you're exactly right. Yeah.
This is true. Look out below. I saw this on the video. The last thing Charlie was asked before he was murdered was about mass shooting violence, specifically by transgender people.
Oh, my God. What kind of society do we have? Matthew Blair Rains asks a very good question. And Ted, off the top of my head, I don't have an answer for it. Maybe you can answer. During the 20th century, why did the USA not have the same political social changes as other Western countries, i.e. affordable health care and more representative democracy, etc.? It's a good question.
I think it all comes down to the 1930s and 1940s. It's FDR, right? I mean, when FDR was elected president, it was 15 years after the Bolshevik Revolution, and there was considerable fear among the ruling classes that the United States would become a socialist country. Don't forget, the Socialist Party was a real party. The Communist Party was a real party. And basically, FDR, much to they didn't like it, but he sucked the air out of the left by appropriating and watered down versions. I mean, I have the political button from the Communist Party from the 1920s that says, support unemployment insurance. That didn't exist as a thought until the Communist Party thought of it. And then FDR instituted as part of the New Deal. And so, all the New Deal, all the social welfare programs that we value today, like Social Security and then, LBJ built on those with the Great Society, like Medicaid and so on. But that all starts because as a way of co-opting the real left, the communists and the socialists. And then, so we thought those were baked in. And then, World War II was like, well, we can't keep building on it because now we have to focus on fighting the war. Then we get into McCarthyism and the Cold War. That freezes the left. And basically, there's no substantial left-wing activity between the 30s and the 60s. So we kind of lost 30 key years of economic expansion post-war that could have been that were used by other countries to build up their social safety nets. And then in the end, Ronald Reagan fucking drove a stake through it. I mean, Ronald Reagan's great political contribution was to convince Americans that human nature was fundamentally individualistic, that we are all fighting each other for scraps and like rats in a cage, and that society's better off that way, that we're not communitarian, that we don't help out our neighbors when they need help and they're down and out. And I think, so it's like, it's no one thing, but I got to say, I think America's role in leading the fight financially in World War II against the Axis set us way back. And then like Truman's decision to ramp up the Cold War against the Soviets, basically froze the left. I mean, nothing happened in the 40s and 50s or the early 60s. And, and by then, the big social, the big social progress movements of the 60s weren't class-based, right? They were based on civil rights, they have feminism, gay rights, and so on, all important stuff. But the class analysis was gone. We haven't seen class-based left-wing activism in this country since the 20s.
Yeah, I think that's it, actually. It's funny how our economies and our political systems evolved differently in response to the same stimuli, like the First and Second World Wars. But I agree with you. And we had this irrational fear of communism. I had a professor once who said that the American government always needs an ism to fight. Mm-hmm. Socialism, communism, Islamism. There's always something out there that our government wants to rally people against. And it's changed our political system permanently.
It has. Little question about cemeteries. I know you're interested.
Okay.
Jordan Johnson says he's looking forward to your books about them.
Well, let me interrupt real quick before you give me the question.
Yes, please.
The contract is signed. I approved the cover. Well, the cover I approved a while ago, but the cover blurb I've approved, and I approved my bio on it. It's already been line edited, so they're telling me it's going to be October. It friggin' better be October. We're going to have a serious problem.
Don't get John Kiriakou pissed off at you. I wouldn't want that at all. So the question is from Jordan, have you ever been to Spring Grove Cemetery in Cincinnati? Second biggest in the country,
yes,
and gorgeous.
With my son. My third son and my daughter both go to school in Cincinnati. Now with people shooting people, I'm not going to say where they're going to school, but they're going to school, both of them, 2 different schools in Cincinnati. So I go to Cincinnati all the time. And I always go to the cemeteries there because there are some really important cemeteries. And that is one. And on top of being giant, it's beautiful. And there are seriously important people buried there. I like it a lot. Cincinnati's actually a surprisingly awesome city.
I'm from Dayton. And so, right. Cincinnati was where we used to go to have fun. And yeah, it's a great city.
It is.
It's sort of like a mini, I don't want to go too far over my skis here, but I feel like it's a micro New Orleans, right? It's got like a river culture.
Right.
It's got a lot of honky tonkish kind of stuff. It's very hilly. It's got a lot of WPA stuff.
It does.
The nightlife is kind of wild. The restaurants are great. I remember seeing some crazy, like going to punk crazy drag queen punk rock extravaganzas that went until 8:00 in the morning. I was like, you can't get that in New York City. Like, what the hell? It's not true. That you necessarily want that. Speaking of Nepal, Jacob Brucken wants to know, a friend of mine left on a missions trip to Nepal with 4 other pastors and a teaching team. Sounds like they're currently okay. Any thoughts or advice? I mean, I've been in situations like that where a country falls apart. Honestly, my best advice is either hunker down, or if you plan to leave, use a land crossing. Airports are difficult and fraught, and you'll probably get stuck because everyone else has the same idea. And if you really think you need to get out of Dodge, go to a land crossing. The border guards haven't heard shit, don't know anything, don't have computers, don't have Wi-Fi. You have a passport, they're going to let you out.
Yeah, I have to agree. Land crossings are by far the easiest.
I like the bus. The bus is the best.
The bus is the best because they don't have time to seriously question everybody. Just get everybody, check their papers and get them across.
Pretend to be asleep. Usually the bus driver is smuggling shit and is paying a bribe to get that shit across the border. The bus driver collects all of your passports, pays the bribe with the passports. You just you look foreign, so you just hunker down under a blanket and just stay really still. You'll probably be okay.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
I've never been to that cemetery. So weird. I feel ashamed of myself. I'm not going to let you go without, we have 2 more things to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
Kamala finally admits that maybe there was something a little wrong with Joe Biden. Who knew? She's now she says it was reckless. He shouldn't have run. It shouldn't have been a decision, just his decision and Jill's. But everyone said, like they were hypnotized, she says in her book, they just said it's their call. And she said it would have been, she was worried about looking self-serving if she'd been the person to point something out, to which I say the 25th Amendment specifically assigns the responsibility of getting rid of the president in case he's unfit to serve to the vice president. The vice president is supposed to call a meeting of the cabinet, and a simple majority vote can remove the president and not from office permanently, but a new acting president steps in who will be the vice president. And like, I understand why that's an awkward position and it's an awkward trigger to pull. That was her duty as an American to pull that trigger. John, as you know better than most people watching, doing the right thing isn't always fun, but it's still not, but it's still the right thing.
Listen, if there was one single person in the country who should have called a spade, it was Kamala Harris, and she blew it, right? The whole country would have been depending on her to tell us the truth about the president. The president is demented. He is unable to lead. Some days he doesn't even know who he is, let alone know how he's going to run the country that day. She should have been the one to call him out. She should have been, if she was a serious person, the one to call for the invocation of the 25th Amendment.
I agree. And the thing is, she also says in this excerpt that was published by The Atlantic that she was very concerned about being viewed as disloyal and it's like, kind of like, look, they don't like you anyway, Kamala. They were constantly shivving her in the media. They were constantly talking about how they didn't like her. They didn't think she was capable. And that's why he had to run again, because she couldn't pick up the mantle. Why the loyalty?
Yeah, I don't get it. He didn't even like her.
No.
So why the loyalty? I don't get it either.
Got a donation from USC XXX A-Rod. What are your guys' thoughts on Greta Thunberg's boat getting hit with a drone fire attack?
Yeah, I saw that, of all places, in CBS. And then, funny enough, the Tunisian government says, no, there was no drone.
Yeah.
So I don't know. CBS says, no, it was hit by what they called a fire drone, which I never heard. I don't even know if that's a thing.
Don't get me started. If you watch the DMZ America podcast, you would know. I will send you the link. So yes, there's a flamethrower drone. There's a flamethrower drone, which is something that I have lusted for years, ever since I first heard of it. I'll send you the link. So basically, officially, the flamethrower drone, it's basically a gas canister mounted to a drone, and it shoots burning flames. And the little boy inside me desperately wants one. In the ad, they show it being used to cut down, to basically burn through utility wires if you don't have a ladder, or taking out a wasp's nest that's 100 feet up a tree or whatever. But yeah, flamethrower drone, $12,000. It can be delivered straight to your house, John.
That's all they cost? A flamethrower is only $12,000?
Flamethrower drone, GPS guided, with a 1.5 gallon canister. But hey,
well, the Tunisian government released some video. You really can't tell what's what in the video. I was just now looking at it, but they said that the fire started when one of the activists flicked his cigarette, and he didn't flick it far enough.
Idiots. By the way, where are they sailing out of on this pleasure cruise that they're going via Tunisia?
I guess from Tunisia. I mean, it's a long freaking way to go from Tunisia to Gaza.
Yeah, it sure is. And they're not going to make it again.
No, they're not going to make it. No. I mean, you and I have friends on any given one of those Gaza flotillas. We have a half a dozen friends.
I'm waiting for my invitation to come by email any second.
Yeah, and they've never made it a single time. And half the time, the Israelis will board the ship and beat the shit out of everybody. And, it's just a big mess. The last time Medea Benjamin went, the Egyptians intercepted the ship, pulled her off, and then broke her shoulder by bending her arm behind her back so hard.
Fuck.
Yeah, they're real dicks about it. God forbid you should anger the Israelis. You don't want to do that.
No, that would be bad because after all, they're such incredibly nice, wonderful people. Okay, Robbie, put up that ad. I'll read it. All right. So I know you've said that cryptography wasn't your specialty at the agency.
No.
That said, cryptographers Dakshita Khurana and Kabir Tomer have now developed quantum one-way puzzles, which offer a robust alternative. Cryptography is, of course, an arms race to classical encryption. This bypasses previous vulnerabilities and basically creates a permanent problem matrix. So for people who don't know what quantum physics is, basically it's the idea that things can sort of appear to be in two places at once and that no two events recur. So it's basically the uncertainty principle writ large. And, with classic cryptography, the puzzle is the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
The solution is the solution.
Right.
It's a formula. It's you just have to find it. This is not that, but of course there will be a way to solve it, but it's a whole new level like quantum computing, where it's taking advantage of basically very strange physics theories. I'm going to go ahead and read. I'll let you ponder while I read the ad here. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. 1775 starter ship just dropped, only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth, the medium roast, and the Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash, all single origin, small batch, toxin free and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler. $170 worth of coffee and gear used for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. That's, I think, probably as fast as I've read that one.
Yeah, that's good. I do like the Westwood commercial. I think
that one's hard. You should do that one next. Just I want to see if anyone, if you get as tongue tied as I do. I'm like the Westwood1.com on Westwood. So quantum cryptography. I mean, this seems like your former colleagues are going to be.
Yeah, they'll be all over this.
Deep dive on.
They'll be all over this. The question that I would have though is, and I still have the same question about, Bitcoin. I kind of understand Ethereum. Kinda, because it does something, but what would this what did you call it?
It's quantum cryptography.
Quantum cryptography. What would it accomplish? Why do we need this? How does this help?
It's harder to crack. So basically, a good way to put it. So I'm trying to think of a good way to put it. So Cold War thing. This is totally from your past. So you know how the Soviet Union used to publish maps that weren't 100% accurate because would have sent.
That's right. That's why used cars that had been owned by diplomats were so expensive in Moscow because they always came with an actual map, not one of the fake maps with the wrong streets and stuff on it that the Russians would sell people.
So everything was always like a little off. Right. And so it's sort of like, and there's other analogies like that. So basically in quantum cryptography, let's just say the code is, whatever, it's a long string of numbers. Well, okay. So the thing is, it's actually like weirded out and it's a little bit off. And so your adversary is trying to crack that code. They can get close, but they can't nail it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But so someone with the quantum key can fix it. So it's like Enigma on steroids.
Oh my God.
Because it's not retro. You can't retro engineer it. Like the main advantage of quantum is that you can create the message and encode it. But let's just say you were able to, even if you knew somehow, let's just say you send me something, you say hello. And then someone intercepts that and says, okay, I see John put in hello, Ted received hello, and it went through this funnel. the thing is, normally, if you know those two things, then you can figure out the funnel and how the funnel works.
And that's how the British were able to crack the German communications during World War II, because everything was encrypted, but the Germans always ended every cable with HH, Heil Hitler. And so they started with
a pattern.
Okay, we know what H is. So then you look for 3-letter words with H in the middle. That's probably the. So now you have the T, the H, and the E.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just work on it for a month, 2 months, 3 months.
Which is also it's similar to the way that the Egyptologists decrypted hieroglyphics. And so but see, the thing is, in quantum, knowing what you put in and what came out does not reveal the workings of the funnel.
Interesting.
That's the advantage.
Hey, real quick. Ellie Louise asked us a question a while ago and has to leave to walk her dog. Do we prefer slow roasted lamb shank or kleftico? Kleftico is a leg of lamb that's wrapped in paper and slow roasted. They make it in grease, but it's like piled with spices, and it takes a good 5 or 6 hours to cook. So when it's done, it just falls right off the bone. Lamb shank's great. My dad always used to order it every time we'd go out. I prefer kleftico.
I'm with you, for sure. Anyway, I'm a slut for spices. So
me too.
All right. So anyway, so quantum cryptography would be one more thing that you would not have enjoyed at the agency.
No, not for me. No. I got bored too easily. I needed excitement. Yeah.
And I guess that's about it for today, right?
Thanks for a vibrant chat, everybody, on both
always.
Rumble and on YouTube. Thank you for that.
A lot of watchers on X too. Thank you so much for tuning in on X. I'm seeing them just go skyrocket. So yeah, thanks as always for all the donations, all the support, all the comments. Much appreciated. Please like, follow, and share the show. Please, if you're not already doing so, think about watching us on Rumble. If you don't like the Rumble interface, you can just have the Rumble running in the background and then watch us and comment on YouTube. As always, we'll always try to get to your comments and questions. And so anyway, thanks for watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. We're here Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock Eastern time. We will be back tomorrow, Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern. And we will see you then. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I found the outro. Bye, guys.